Rhea Okafor did not lose. Not pitches, not promotions, not arguments in the break room over who finished the oat milk. In 4 years at Lumen Studios, she had built a reputation as the woman who could turn a client's worst idea into an award-winning campaign, and she had done it by trusting exactly one person other than herself. No one. So when Marcus called an all-hands on a Monday morning and introduced Sena Volkov as the newest addition to our leadership team, Reya's first feeling wasn't curiosity. It was territorial. Sena stood at the front of the room like she'd been born under stage lights. Dark blazer, easy smile, the kind of posture that made junior designers sit up straighter without knowing why. She thanked Marcus, made a joke about still finding the bathrooms, and the room laughed. Reya did not. She's hot, Priya whispered from the seat beside her. She's a threat, Reya whispered back. Can't she be both? Reya didn't answer, because at that exact moment, Sena's eyes swept the room and landed on her, and held. Just a beat too long. Long enough that Reya felt the heat crawl up her neck before she could stop it, and hated herself for it instantly. By Wednesday, the battle lines were drawn. Sena questioned Reya's creative direction in a client call. Gently, publicly, devastatingly. I love the concept. I just wonder if it's speaking to who we actually want reading it, she said, and the client nodded like she'd handed them scripture. Rhea sat there with her jaw tight, watching 4 years of instinct get undercut in 90 seconds by a woman who'd been in the building for 3 days. After the call, Rhea found her in the kitchen. You don't get to do that, Rhea said, voice low. Sena didn't even turn around, just kept stirring her coffee. Do what? Have an opinion? Undermine me, in front of a client. Now Sena turned, and there was nothing soft in her face anymore, just a cool, assessing look that made Rhea's skin prickle. I wasn't undermining you, Rhea. I was doing my job. If your work can't survive one question in a meeting, that's not on me. You don't know anything about my work. I know it's good, Sena said, stepping closer than she needed to. I know it could be better. And I know you're used to nobody in this building telling you that. That's going to change. She left the kitchen. Rhea stood there, gripping the counter, furious, and unable to explain why her pulse hadn't slowed down since Sena walked in. By Friday, Marcus dropped the news that ended any illusion of avoidance. Rhea and Sena would co-lead Lumen's biggest pitch of the year, a rebrand for a Fortune 500 client, 3 weeks to deliver. Together. Absolutely not, Rhea said. Already decided, Marcus said, not looking up from his laptop. You two balance each other. Creative and strategy. That's not a conflict, Rhea. That's a campaign. Rhea walked out before she said something she'd regret. In the hallway, Sena was leaning against the wall like she'd been waiting for exactly this reaction. Guess we're stuck with each other, Sena said, the ghost of a smirk on her mouth. Guess so, Rhea said flatly, and walked past her. Close enough that their shoulders brushed, close enough that neither of them moved away first. That night, staring at the ceiling of her apartment, Rhea realized with quiet horror that she hadn't stopped thinking about the way Sena said her name. The war didn't end. It just moved into closer quarters. For 2 weeks, Rhea and Sena occupied the same glass conference room from 8 a.m. until whoever blinked first went home. They argued over headlines, over color palettes, over whether the client wanted bold or safe. And every argument left Rhea more exhausted and, infuriatingly, more impressed. Because Sena wasn't wrong, not usually. She had an instinct for what made people feel something, a way of cutting straight to the emotional core of an idea while Rhea was still polishing its edges. It should have made Rhea resentful. Instead, somewhere in week 2, it started to feel like being seen, sharpened, not diminished. The shift happened on a Thursday night, past 10 p.m., the office empty except for the 2 of them and a graveyard of coffee cups. This tagline is dead, Sena said, dropping her red pen on the table. It's safe. It's forgettable. What are you actually trying to say? That's my job, not yours. Then do it, Sena snapped, and something in her voice cracked just slightly. Not anger, something raw. Stop hiding behind clever and tell me what you actually feel about this brand. What do you feel, Rhea? The question landed somewhere Rhea wasn't ready for. Why does it matter what I feel? Because that's the only version of your work that's ever going to be undeniable. Sena's voice had gone quiet. You're the most talented person in this building, and you write like someone who's scared of being caught caring." The room went very still. "You don't know anything about me," Reya said again, but softer this time, no fight behind it. "So tell me," Sena said, "or don't. But stop pretending indifference is the same thing as strength." Reya should have walked out. Instead, she sat back down, and for the first time in 2 weeks, they didn't argue. Rhea talked. About her mother working 3 jobs, about clawing a scholarship out of a system that wasn't built for her, about the loneliness of being the only one in every room who looked like her and had to be twice as good to be seen as half as capable. Sena listened like it mattered. And then, unprompted, Sena talked too. About a family name that opened doors and suffocated her inside them. About a father who measured love in achievements. About moving cities every 2 years just to prove she could build something that was hers alone. By midnight, the tagline was forgotten. They were sitting closer than either of them had noticed, Sena's hand resting near Reya's on the table, not touching, but close enough that the space between them felt charged. "I don't actually hate you," Sena said quietly, a small, surprised laugh in her voice. "Could have fooled me," Reya said, but she was smiling. "I never hated you, Reya." Sena's eyes dropped, briefly, to Reya's mouth, and back up. "I think I've been terrified of exactly the opposite." The air between them went taut. Reya's heart was pounding so loud she was certain Sena could hear it. Neither of them moved for 3 full seconds, and then the office door swung open, and the cleaning crew walked in, and the moment shattered. They packed up in silence, both flustered, both pretending not to be. But walking to the elevator, Sena's fingers brushed hers, deliberately, this time, and neither of them pulled away. Everything changed the night of the pitch rehearsal. They'd found their rhythm by then, a private language of glances across conference tables, coffee left wordlessly on each other's desks, a closeness the rest of the office had started to notice and gossip about. Priya kept giving Reya knowing looks that Reya kept ignoring, badly. 2 nights before the final pitch, working late again, the tension that had been building for weeks finally broke. Sena reached over to fix a line of Reya's copy, their hands brushed, and this time neither of them pulled back to make it look like an accident. "Reya." Sena's voice was barely above a whisper. "If I kiss you right now, tell me to stop." Reya didn't tell her to stop. The kiss was soft first, then not. Months of friction, finally finding somewhere to go. When they broke apart, Reya was breathless, forehead resting against Sena's, both of them laughing quietly at how long they'd fought this. "I've wanted to do that since the day I walked into that meeting," Sena admitted. "I hated you for it," Reya said, smiling. "No, you didn't." "No," Reya agreed. "I didn't." For one night, everything was perfect. Then came the email. It was Priya who found it. A leaked internal memo, forwarded from a source in leadership, revealing that Sena had been brought in 6 weeks ago, not just to strategize the pitch, but to quietly evaluate the creative team for a planned restructuring. Reya's name was on the list of redundant creative roles under a proposed merger of departments. Sena's signature was on the recommendation. Reya read it twice, 3 times, willing the words to change. They didn't. She found Sena in the kitchen, the same kitchen where this had all started. "Is this real?" Reya's voice shook, holding up her phone. Sena's face fell the second she saw it. "Reya, let me explain. You were hired to cut my job." Reya's voice cracked between fury and heartbreak. "This whole time, the pitch, the us, was any of it real? Or was I just something to manage until the paperwork went through? It's not like that. I fought them on your name specifically. Don't." Reya's eyes were wet, but her voice had gone ice cold, the wall back up, brick by brick. "I trusted you with things I don't tell anyone. And you knew this whole time and said nothing." "I was going to tell you." "When? After you kissed me? After the pitch? After I lost my job?" Reya laughed, hollow and broken. "I should have listened to myself the first day. You are a threat. I just let myself forget." She walked out. Sena didn't chase her. For once, she had no argument, because some of it was true, and both of them knew it. The pitch was in 36 hours. Reya wasn't sure she could stand in the same room as Sena, let alone deliver the biggest presentation of her career beside her. Rhea didn't sleep. She sat with the restructuring memo open on her laptop until 4 a.m., grief and rage taking turns at the wheel until something colder set in. Clarity. She thought about her mother, about every room she'd had to fight to be believed in. She thought about Sena's face in that kitchen. Not smug, not calculated, but scared. Genuinely scared. That didn't erase the lie. But it complicated it in a way Rhea's anger couldn't quite burn through. The morning of the pitch, Priya cornered her in the elevator. You don't have to forgive her, but you built this campaign together. Don't let her mistake take something that's actually yours. Rhea walked into the conference room 40 minutes before the client arrived. Sena was already there, hollow-eyed, clearly having slept even less than Rhea had. I'm not doing this for you, Rhea said before Sena could speak. I know, Sena said quietly. You shouldn't, but I am doing it. Rhea set her folder down. Because it's good work. Because I earned it. Not because of anything you did or didn't tell me. Sena nodded, throat tight. For what it's worth. I told Marcus this morning I wouldn't sign off on cutting your role. Not after this. Not after any of it. I don't know if it'll matter. But I needed you to know that before we walk in there. Rhea didn't answer. But she didn't walk away either. The pitch was, against every odd, extraordinary. Because underneath the hurt, the work between them had always been real. And it showed. Rhea's ideas hit harder than they ever had, sharpened by everything she'd poured into the past 3 weeks, heartbreak included. Sena's strategy framed every idea like it mattered because, to her, it clearly did. The client didn't just approve the campaign. They asked for an extended partnership on the spot. Marcus was thrilled. The office erupted the second the news spread. And in the middle of it, Rhea walked straight past the celebration and out onto the rooftop, needing air, needing distance from the noise of a win that didn't feel like one yet. Sena found her there 10 minutes later. You don't have to talk to me, Sena said. I just needed you to hear this once, without a client in the room, without anything on the line. I came here running from my father's shadow, trying to prove I could build something without his name attached. And somewhere in the middle of trying to prove that, I met someone who made me forget I was supposed to be careful. I should have told you the second I knew I was falling for you. I was a coward. Not because I didn't trust you, because I was terrified of what it meant that I did. Rhea turned around, eyes glassy, arms crossed like armor she wasn't sure she wanted anymore. You hurt me, Sena. I know. I don't know if I can just. I'm not asking you to just anything, Sena said. I'm asking for a chance to be honest with you every day after this one. Starting now. No memos. No secrets. Just this. Whatever this is. The city hummed below them, golden in the late afternoon light. Rhea looked at her for a long moment. The woman she'd hated on sight, fought with for weeks, fallen for despite every instinct telling her not to, and who had, in the end, chosen her when it counted. One chance, Rhea finally said, stepping closer. You use it wisely. Every day, Sena promised. When they kissed this time, there was no rehearsal room, no secret to hide, no wall left standing between them. Just 2 women who had spent a month calling it rivalry when it was always something else entirely. Inside, through the glass doors, Priya watched with her hand over her heart and mouthed a single, triumphant finally to no one at all.